Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to understand GenKit RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. I'll also explain important terms like chunking, embedding, retrieval, and walk you through different RAG workflow diagrams step by step so it all makes sense. Normally, large language models like GPT generate answers only from what they were trained on. But that means if you ask them something specific or recent, they might give incorrect or made up answers. RAG fixes this problem. With RAG, instead of just guessing, the AI looks up relevant information from your own data sources like PDFs, databases, or documents, and then uses that to give a much more accurate contextual answers. You should set up your project using these commands. Install necessary dependencies and get your API key from this link. This is also mentioned in description box, you can check there. Now this is all for GenKit flows. GenKit is supported by every project that has Node.js setup. Before learning about RAG, first we will learn how GenKit flows are made. First, import GenKit from GenKit. This brings in the main GenKit framework that lets us define and run flows. Then import plugins to OpenAI's models, and here we are using the GPT-4o model. Then load our env files so we can safely store API keys without hard coding them in the code. Then import Zord. Zord is a schema validation library. With it, we can define the shape of our input and output so GenKit knows what to expect. Here we are creating an AI instance of GenKit. Inside, we pass a list of plugins. We use the OpenAI plugin and we give it our API key from the environment. We also set our default model GPT-4o. So if we call later AI generation, this model will be used. Now we are defining our very first flow. The flow's name is hello flow. Input schema is the input should be a string, like a person's name. Similar to output schema, the output will also be a string. Now, the last part is the actual function. It takes the input name and returns a greeting message. For example, if we pass ABC, it will return hello ABC. And that's it. We have gone through every single line of code for the simplest GenKit flow. Use bash in the terminal for the best experience. It just shows how flows work with input and output schemas. Now we will learn more about RAG. Alright, before we dive into the workflow, let's get familiar with a few important terms. Imagine you have a really big book. Instead of giving the whole book to the AI, we break it into smaller, manageable sections. That's what we call chunking. It helps the system search quickly and precisely. Now, once those chunks are ready, we need a way to compare them with questions we might ask. That's where embedding comes in. You can think of an embedding like a fingerprint of a piece of text. It's just a set of numbers that captures the meaning of that chunk so the AI knows how it relates to your question. And finally, we have the retriever. Think of it like a librarian. You ask a question, and the retriever searches through all those embeddings to pull out the chunks that are most relevant to you. Together, chunking, embedding, and the retriever form the foundation of how RAG works. Now, let's break down this RAG workflow diagram step by step to understand more quickly. Here, we start with the raw documents like PDFs. Then this is where documents are cleaned and split into chunks prepared for embeddings. Then this line chain acts as a connector or pipeline manager that ties all the steps together. Then in vector database, This is the retrieval stage. All your embeddings are stored here, and Pinecone helps with fast similarity search. Then user prompt. When you ask a question, it is converted into an embedding and matched against the database. Then RAG enriched prompt. This is the user's question plus the retrieved context are combined into a single enriched prompt. Finally, the enriched prompt is parsed to the LLM, that is the large language machine, which generates a grounded and accurate answer. So that's the full pipeline of RAG with GenKit. Now let's move to the coding section. The first and foremost step is import all the dependencies which we will use further in our code. So the next step is we configure GenKit. We add Google AI with our API key. Then we set up a local vector database named Restaurant Menu QA. For embeddings, we use Gemini's embedding model. This is what powers our retrieval later. Next, we define how to split the text. We will chunk the PDF into pieces between 500 and 1500 characters by sentences with a small overlap of 50 characters. This helps maintain context. Now, this line creates a reference to our indexer. Think of it as a gateway to store documents in the vector database. This indexer name is Restaurant Menu Indexer. Next is this function, which parses the PDF using PDF parse and returns the plain text. Next is this flow called index restaurant menu. It takes the file as input and it outputs the success status, how many documents were indexed, or an error message. Here it is. Then this creates a retriever for our indexed menu. It's what fetches relevant chunks later when someone asks a question. Then we define a simple question answer flow. It takes a user's query and returns an answer. The retriever to pull the top three relevant chunks from the vector database. Then we give it a system prompt that says you are Sophia, a helpful assistant. Only answer using the menu context. If something isn't in the menu, say I don't. This ensures accurate answers without hallucinations. Now let's try to run the code. Now, first add a text-based PDF, which is your menu in your local repo. You can create it from platforms like Google Docs. Before running, go in your package.json, set this command in script section to run the code. This will result into a link which will help you explore the GenKit developer UI where we will see our responses. So here it is. Copy the link or just control and click the link. The link will land you to this website or the UI. We simply go to our flow, which is index restaurant menu, upload our file here. You can use any name. Yes, there is a success. Now let's go to the question and answer menu. Let's ask some question. So here is our response. So that was all about your AI chef. That's the full pipeline of RAG with GenKit. Documents are chunked, chunks are embedded, embeddings are stored in retriever like Pinecone. The LLM generates an answer enriched with real context. If this was helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I have mentioned all the necessary links in the description box and feel free to drop down your doubts in the comment section.